The chandelier flickered overhead, like even the house didn't want to pick a side. Warm light, then cold. The dining room smelled like lemon cleaner and old roses, like somebody had tried to scrub a memory out of the wood. I stood at the edge of the rug with my hands open, empty, while my own family stared at me like I'd brought something rotten into the house. Patricia held an open drawer in both hands. "The envelope was here," she said softly. "Cream-colored, Grandpa's handwriting, wax seal." Her eyes lifted to mine. "Now it's gone." Every head turned to me. I could feel my heart in my throat. I could have defended myself. I had 10 different defenses ready. Every one of them dangerous. But I swallowed them. Because if I spoke, I might say the truth. And the truth would burn this family to the studs. And because I came back because Grandma asked, and because some stupid part of me still wanted to believe this family had one decent bone left. So I stayed silent. That silence right then was the first domino. Don't break before Sunday. In this house, Sunday wasn't just a day. Sunday was when the story got decided. Patricia set the drawer down with a careful click like she was handling a bomb. She smoothed her pale blue cardigan, the one that made her look harmless, and turned that smile on the room. "Let's not make this dramatic," she said. "It's family. We can handle this privately." Her eyes slid back to me, sharp, hunting. Then she added, casual as poison, "unless it has to be public." A spoon clinked against a mug in the kitchen, someone's nervous hands, someone's breathing too loud. Evelyn, Grandma Evelyn, the reason everyone pretended to be kind, sat at the head of the table. Her teacup trembled slightly. Lavender perfume floated off her, soft and powdery, like it was trying to calm the air. It wasn't working. Evelyn looked at me the way you look at a candle you're afraid will go out. Hopeful, fragile. Patricia cleared her throat. "I checked the guest room," she announced. "The hall bathroom, the laundry. I even checked the trash." Her tone stayed polite, but her words were knives. "I didn't check your room yet, Rose," she said. The silence got heavier, pressed against my ears. The old wood floor creaked, somebody shifting their weight, deciding which side they were on. People I'd known my whole life, suddenly strangers behind their eyes. Patricia stepped closer. Her heels ticked like a countdown. "Just say it was a mistake," she murmured, "only for me." Her perfume hit me clean, expensive, sharp like crushed petals. "Say you took it. I'll keep it small. I'll keep you safe." Safe like a cage, the temptation was real. One little confession, one little lie, let them hate me quietly instead of loudly. That was the old Rose. The version that swallowed blame because fighting cost too much. Patricia's smile widened like she could taste that version of me. My phone buzzed in my pocket, one short vibration, like a tap on the shoulder. Patricia's gaze dropped to my pocket immediately. Evelyn's cup rattled softly on the saucer. "I don't like this," Evelyn whispered. Patricia turned instantly sweet. "No one likes it, Grandma, but the truth is the truth." Then she faced the room, my aunt, my uncle, my brother, and said, calm and clear, "Rose, do you have anything you want to tell us?" The room held its breath. My throat tightened. And I said nothing. Patricia blinked, then nodded like I'd just signed something. "Okay," she said. "Then I'll be the bad guy." She reached into her bag and lifted her phone, screen glowing in the dim light. Before she spoke, she glanced at Grandma like she was checking her pulse, then she looked back at me. "I can call the police," she said, "or my attorney." A small pause, a smile. "Either way, people are going to talk." My aunt made a small sound like pain. Patricia didn't look at her, she looked at me. Evelyn swallowed hard. Patricia rested her hand on Evelyn's shoulder gently. too gently. I'm protecting you. That's when I saw it. This wasn't really about an envelope. This was about control. If Patricia could make me the villain, she could make herself the hero. She could steer whatever was coming on Sunday and nobody would question her. My phone buzzed again. 2 taps this time. I slid it out slowly. The screen was smeared with fingerprints and my reflection looked pale under the chandelier. Unknown number, 1 text, don't say a word, she's baiting you, my breath caught. The message felt like a hand closing over my mouth. I glanced up. Patricia was watching my face like she was waiting for guilt to leak out. I slipped the phone back into my pocket without replying. Patricia's voice sharpened. "Who is that? Someone coaching you?" "No," I said one word before I could stop it. My first crack in the silence. Patricia smiled like she'd just hooked a fish. "Interesting," she purred. "So you can speak." Heat crawled up my neck, then the doorbell rang, bright. Sudden, the whole room flinched like the house itself had been startled awake. The sound echoed down the hallway, and for a second the tension splintered. Patricia's eyes narrowed. "Who is that?" Evelyn blinked, confused. "Did we invite?" I moved before anyone could stop me. The hallway was darker, cooler. It smelled like old books and furniture polish. The floorboards complained under my feet like they always did. I opened the front door. Cold air rushed in, carrying the scent of rain and asphalt and something fried from a neighbor's kitchen. Milo stood on the porch holding a small package and a grin like a flashlight. "Hey, Rose," he said. "Got a delivery for her." Then he saw my face. His grin dropped. He lowered his voice. "What's going on?" Behind me, Patricia's heels clicked in the hallway, approaching like a threat. Milo's eyes flicked past me toward the dining room. He didn't need details, he could feel the shape of it. He leaned in just a little. "Hey, don't let her trap you in this." Patricia appeared behind me with her smile already snapped on. "Oh, Milo," she said brightly. "Perfect timing. We're dealing with a little situation." Milo didn't smile back. He held the package out like this was normal, like I wasn't standing in front of a firing squad. "Sign here," he said to me. I signed, my hand shaking just enough for him to notice. Under his breath, he added, "Someone's been digging by the rose bushes recently." My skin prickled. The rose bushes. The same ones Evelyn told me on my first night here never to touch, never to prune, never to dig around. Milo's gaze held mine. "When's it go down?" I didn't answer out loud, I just mouthed it. "Sunday." His eyes widened like that word meant something to him too. Patricia tilted her head. "What are you two whispering about?" Milo straightened, casual. "Delivery stuff." Patricia's eyes flashed. "Rose, back inside." The command landed like a collar around my neck. I stepped back in. The door clicked shut behind me. Warmth rushed in again, smelling like lemon and roses and judgment. Patricia walked past me first, reclaiming the room like it belonged to her. Everyone was still there, still watching, still waiting. Patricia lifted her phone again. "One more chance," she said, syrup sweet. "Before I call." My heart hammered. "Don't break before Sunday." I turned and walked away before anyone could stop me, down the hall, past family photos that didn't include me, past the closet door that always stuck, into the guest room where I slept now because Evelyn wanted me close. I shut the door. The air was cooler. It smelled faintly of dust and lavender sachets. I leaned my forehead against the door for 1 second, listening to muffled voices outside. Patricia's tone, my aunt pleading, someone saying my name like it tasted bitter. Then I noticed it. The vent cover near the baseboard was slightly crooked. Not much, just enough to catch the light. Fresh scratches around the screws, like somebody opened it today, and like they thought they had time. My breath hitched, I crouched. My fingers shook as I pressed my nail under the edge. The cover shifted. A puff of stale air came out, insulation, dust, old secrets. I pulled it free, and inside, wedged between darkness and dirt, was a photo. Half burned, curled at the edges. I slid it out carefully like it might fall apart. In the photo, a younger Evelyn stood on this same porch, sunlight flooding her hair. She smiled at the camera, in her arms a baby with a familiar birthmark near the ear. I couldn't breathe because I knew that baby, I was that baby. I flipped the photo over with trembling fingers. 5 words, faded ink, Sunday, 5 p.m., she'll lie. My phone buzzed again, unknown number. One last message. She's walking to your door now. The doorknob didn't turn right away. Whoever was out there, they were enjoying this. Then one soft knock, not loud, not angry, controlled, like Patricia had all the time in the world. I backed away from the door, the half-burned photo still in my hand. My fingers felt numb around the curled edges. My own baby face stared up at me from the past like a dare. The air in the room smelled like lavender sachets and dust and something older, like paper hidden too long. Another knock. Rose, Patricia called, voice sweet through the wood. Open up. Let's fix this before it gets messy. My eyes darted to the vent. The cover lay on the carpet like a mouth left open. I shoved the photo under my mattress without thinking. Fast, clumsy. Then I slid the vent cover back into place with shaking hands. I opened the door a crack. Patricia stood there perfectly composed, hair smooth, smile ready, phone in hand, screen dark like a weapon she didn't have to raise yet. Behind her, the hallway light made her look almost angelic. Which was the point? She tilted her head. Are you hiding something? No, I said. My mouth went dry. Patricia's eyes flicked past my shoulder, scanning my room with that polite, surgical focus. Then she leaned in, lowering her voice like we were sharing a secret. Here's what's going to happen, she whispered. You're going to bring me the envelope, and you're going to apologize, and we're going to move on. I stared at her. I don't have it. Her smile didn't move. Okay. That one word should have been relief. It wasn't. Then I'll do it my way, she said, and you won't like the ending. She stepped back just enough to lift her phone where I could see it. Police report, she said, attorney letter, a beat. Then I tell the story first. My stomach dropped. She watched my face like she was watching a timer tick down. People are going to talk, she added. You get to choose what they say. Cold sweat broke across my back. I wanted to scream. Instead, I did the worst thing you can do to someone like Patricia. I didn't react. Her smile tightened, just slightly. That silence, she said. It makes you look guilty. Then she softened again like she cared. Rose, you don't want buyers hearing this. You know we're this close to listing the house. Listing. I felt it click. That's what this is. Patricia's eyes glittered when she saw I understood. If this turns into a police situation, she continued, the buyers get scared, investors pull out, and Grandma's legacy becomes a headache nobody wants. Legacy, like Evelyn was a brand. Patricia lifted her brows. So, last chance, where's the envelope? I kept my voice flat. I don't know, she sighed like I was exhausting. Fine, she said, then I'll search your room. If you're innocent, you won't mind. It hit me like a slap. No, I said. Patricia's smile widened. See, that's defensive. She reached toward the door frame like she could just step past me and take whatever she wanted. And that's when Evelyn's voice floated down the hall, thin, shaky, scared. Rose? Patricia froze for half a second. Then she turned, instantly gentle. I'm coming, Grandma. Her hand slipped off the doorframe like nothing happened. She shot me one last look, not anger, a promise. Then she walked away. I stood there with my heart hammering. And then the house screamed. A sharp, high beep ripped through the hallway. Smoke alarm. Every conversation in the house died at once. My blood turned to ice. I ran. The kitchen was chaos. The air was thick and gray, smelling like burnt toast and hot plastic. The alarm shrieked so loud it rattled my teeth. A pan sat smoking on the stove, flames licking at the edges like it wanted the ceiling next. Evelyn stood near the counter, swaying, one hand pressed to her chest. Her eyes were wide and wet. I forgot, she stammered. It's okay, I said, voice steady even as my hands shook. It's okay, I've got it. I grabbed a towel, yanked the pan off the heat, smothered it hard. The flames died with a hiss. The smell got worse for a second, char and acrid smoke, then slowly thinned. The alarm kept screaming. My uncle swung a dish towel under the sensor like that would negotiate with it. My aunt stood frozen, one hand over her mouth. Evelyn's tea tins lined the cabinet above the stove, little metal canisters with faded labels rattling slightly from the vibration in the air. Patricia moved like she was in a commercial. Calm, helpful, performative. Oh my God, Grandma, she cooed, guiding Evelyn toward a chair. Sit, breathe. Evelyn's hands trembled as she lowered herself down. I fanned the air with a towel, eyes burning. Evelyn's gaze found mine, embarrassed. Like she'd failed us. I'm sorry, she whispered. You didn't do anything wrong, I said, crouching beside her. My voice dropped low. You're okay, you're safe. Her skin felt cool when I touched her wrist. Too cool. I checked her pulse like my mom taught me years ago. Counted, measured, stayed calm. Patricia watched from the corner of my eye, then she did something that made my stomach drop. While everyone was focused on Evelyn, Patricia's hand slid toward the counter where my purse sat. I saw it in real time, and it was ugly. Her fingers hooked the strap, lifted it an inch. I stood up fast. Patricia, her hand froze. She turned, offended innocence already on her face. What? Don't touch my stuff. My uncle blinked. My aunt looked between us like she didn't want to see. Patricia gave a tiny laugh. Rose, I'm trying to help. I thought maybe you had. I don't, I cut in. The room went sharp. For a split second her mask slipped, then it was back. Right, she said softly. My mistake. Evelyn coughed weak. I turned back to her immediately because Evelyn mattered more than winning. I guided Evelyn's hands around her teacup, warm ceramic, a steadying anchor. Small sips, I said, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Evelyn tried. The alarm finally stopped, leaving behind a ringing silence. And in that silence, Patricia's voice cut clean through. I'm calling the doctor, she announced loudly. And after that, I'm handling the envelope situation. The way she said handling made my skin crawl. Evelyn's eyes squeezed shut. Please, not now. Patricia stroked Evelyn's shoulder like she was soothing a child. It's because of your health, Grandma. Stress makes everything worse. We need this resolved. Resolved, meaning me. I caught movement at the back door. Milo. He stood there like he wasn't sure he was allowed inside, rain damp on his jacket, concern written all over his face. His eyes met mine. He mouthed one word now I didn't even think. I'm going to get fresh air for Grandma, I said quickly. Patricia's head snapped toward me. I can do that. I've got it, I said, already moving. I helped Evelyn stand slow and careful. The kitchen still smelled like smoke and shame. As I guided her toward the back hallway, Milo slipped closer, blocking Patricia's line of sight with his body like he'd done this before. We reached the small sunroom off the kitchen. Cooler air, damp earth smell from the garden, rain ticking against the glass. Evelyn sat down, breathing steadier. I turned, and Milo was right behind me holding something in his hand. A folded sheet creased hard like someone hit it fast. He slid it toward me like it was contraband. "I saw this on the counter when the alarm went off," he whispered. "She didn't notice me. I snapped a picture, too." My fingers trembled as I opened it, bold letters across the top. Pre-listing WALKTHROUGH, Sunday 4:30 p.m. underneath. Names, times, notes, and one line circled in pen, "Remove obstacles, Rose." My vision tunneled. I looked up at Milo. He didn't blink. "She's not just trying to blame you," he said quietly. "She's trying to erase you." My phone buzzed. I pulled it out. Unknown number, new text, SHE moved the envelope. "Check Grandma's tea tin." My blood went cold. Because the tea tins were in the cabinet above the stove, right where Patricia had been standing the whole time. I stared at that cabinet like it could stare back. And then faint, almost nothing, a soft rattle came from inside one of the tins. The cabinet above the stove stared back at me like it had eyes. Milo didn't speak. He didn't have to, because that rattle, not from the alarm, only happens when something inside wants out. Evelyn sat in the sunroom, wrapped in a throw blanket that smelled like laundry detergent and lavender. Her breathing was steadier now, but her hands kept worrying the edge of the fabric like it was the only thing holding her together. Patricia's voice floated from the kitchen, bright and loud on purpose. "I'm calling the doctor, Grandma. You're doing great." Performing. And behind that performance, I could feel her watching the hallway, waiting for me to slip. Milo leaned close. "You want me to grab it?" "No," I whispered. My pulse thudded in my ears. "If she's moved the envelope, she's expecting someone to go for it." He nodded once, serious now. "So we don't do what she expects." I swallowed. I took a slow breath and stood up like I was just stretching my legs. "I'm going to make Grandma some tea," I said, loud enough for the kitchen to hear. Patricia answered immediately, sweet as honey. "Great idea, I'll help." Of course she would. Milo lifted his chin toward the kitchen doorway. "I'll distract." He stepped into view, waving his phone like he had a question. "Hey, Patricia," he called, polite. "Quick thing, did you guys ever get the mailbox key fixed? Because I've had 3 packages bounce back this week." Patricia turned toward him, smile snapping on. "Oh, that's odd." While she pivoted into customer service mode, I moved. I walked into the kitchen like I belonged there, like I wasn't the accused, like my name wasn't being passed around that room like something dirty. The air still had smoke in it, faint but sharp, burnt toast and hot metal. I kept my shoulders loose. The tea tins lined the cabinet above the stove, little metal canisters with faded labels. Chamomile, Earl Grey, peppermint. One of them sat slightly forward like someone had touched it recently. My stomach tightened. I reached up with steady hands and slid the cabinet door open. The hinges gave a soft squeak. Behind me, Milo kept Patricia talking. "No, I mean the whole lock. It's been sticking." Patricia laughed too loudly. "Well, Milo, that sounds like a you problem." She didn't know how good Milo was at being underestimated. I lifted the peppermint tin down slowly. It was heavier than it should have been, not much, just enough to make my blood go cold. I didn't open it yet. I carried it to the counter and set it down like it was normal. like this was routine. Like I wasn't holding a secret that could change everything. Then I popped the lid. Inside weren't tea bags. Inside was the envelope, cream-colored, Grandpa's handwriting, wax seal cracked. Someone had opened it, not me. And underneath it something else. A small key taped to a folded note. My hands went numb. Patricia's laugh stopped mid-syllable behind me. I didn't turn around. I kept my eyes on the counter. Because if I looked up and saw her face, I might do something loud. And loud was what she wanted. Silence was my shield. Proof was my weapon. I slid the envelope toward me, covering the key and the note with my palm. Then I heard Patricia's heels. One step, two, she was coming. Milo's voice rose a notch, casual panic. "Oh shoot, sorry, I didn't mean." He moved into her path, blocking, friendly, dumb on purpose. Patricia's voice went sweet again. "Move, Milo." "I'm trying," he said, grinning. "My feet don't listen under stress." I took the moment. I tucked the note and key into my pocket. Then, carefully, I lifted the envelope and slid it into the pocket of my hoodie like it belonged there. I grabbed a mug, turned on the kettle, acted normal. My whole body buzzed like a live wire. Patricia appeared at my shoulder, too close. "Making tea?" she asked. Her tone said, "What did you take?" I didn't look at her. I stared at the kettle like it was the most interesting thing in the world. "Grandma needs something warm," I said. Patricia hummed. "She needs less stress." Then softly, "You're making this harder than it has to be." My jaw locked. I kept my voice calm. "I didn't take your envelope." Patricia's breath hitched, just the tiniest slip. "You mean Grandpa's envelope," she corrected quickly like she'd caught herself. I turned my head just enough to meet her eyes. And saw it, fear, not the fear of a missing envelope, the fear of losing control. Patricia smiled again, but it was thinner now. "Rose," she said, "hand it over." My skin went cold. "I don't know what you're talking about." Patricia's eyes flicked down my hoodie pocket. She knew, of course she knew. Her voice stayed gentle, but her words sharpened. "If you walk out of this kitchen with it," she said quietly, "I'm done being polite." Then she lifted her phone. And this time it wasn't dark. The screen was bright, recording. She wasn't documenting the truth. She was manufacturing it. Patricia angled the camera toward her face, then toward me, framing it like a confession video. "I just want everyone to see this," she said, voice trembling on purpose. "Rose, please, just give it back." Milo stepped forward. "Patricia, come on." Patricia swung the phone toward him. "Stay out of it. This is family." Then she turned the camera back on me. "This is what she does," Patricia said, louder now for the mic, for the future audience. "She hides, she lies, and she plays the victim." My brother's footsteps hit the kitchen tile. My aunt followed. They arrived drawn by Patricia's voice like moths to flame. Patricia didn't even glance at them. She didn't need to. She had the stage. "Rose," she said, voice breaking like a performance, "please. I don't want to call the police." She looked at the camera and added, like she was devastated, "But I will." My mouth went dry. My hands shook, not from guilt, from rage. And from fear, because her version on video would travel faster than truth ever could. I forced my voice steady. "I'm not giving you anything." Patricia inhaled sharply like I'd slapped her. Then her face softened into something almost sad. "Okay," she whispered. And then she smiled, because she'd gotten what she wanted, a clip, a villain. She lowered the phone just a little and looked past me at my family. "You heard her," Patricia said. "She refuses." My aunt's eyes filled with tears. "Rose," my brother looked confused, torn, and Patricia, still recording, lifted her other hand and pulled out a business card like she'd rehearsed the timing. My attorney's already on standby, she announced. And if anyone thinks I'm overreacting, wait until you hear what that envelope contains. I felt the room tilt because she hadn't even opened it, or she had. My fingers brushed my hoodie pocket. The wax seal had been cracked. Patricia had seen what was inside. My pulse pounded. "What's in it?" my uncle demanded. Patricia's eyes glittered. "A document," she said carefully, "that decides who this house belongs to." The air went thin. Evelyn's voice carried from the sunroom, weak but sharp with panic. "Patricia, stop." Patricia turned sweet again, still recording. "Grandma, I'm protecting you," Evelyn coughed. "No, you're," Patricia cut her off with a gentle laugh. "Grandma's confused, she's not well." The cruelty of it hit me hard, using Evelyn's health as a muzzle. Milo stepped in front of my family, palms up. "Okay, everybody breathe. Nobody's calling anybody right now." Patricia swung the camera toward him. "Milo is interfering." Milo shrugged. "Yeah, because you're filming like this is a reality show." Patricia's smile vanished for one blink, then she looked back at me and lowered her voice so only I could hear. "Give me the envelope," she hissed, "or I swear to God, I'll make you the thief in every group chat in this town." Then she straightened, bright again, loud again. "Rose," she said for the recording, last chance. My mind raced, the note in my pocket, the key, the photo under the mattress. Sunday at 5 p.m. And now the envelope, Grandpa's handwriting in my hoodie like a heartbeat. I could hand it over and maybe survive tonight, or I could hold it and risk everything. My gaze flicked to Evelyn in the sunroom doorway, pale, shaking, eyes begging me not to let Patricia win. And I knew. If Patricia got that envelope back, Sunday would be her story, not ours, so I made my choice. I reached into my hoodie pocket. Patricia's eyes lit up, hungry. And instead of pulling the envelope out, I pulled out the little folded note that had been taped under it. My fingers unfolded it slowly, right there on camera. Patricia's smile twitched, because she hadn't expected there to be a note. The room went silent except for Patricia's phone capturing every breath. And when I read the first line, my blood ran cold. It was written in Grandpa's handwriting, and it said, "If you're reading this, Rose," she already started lying. Sunday came the way storms do, quiet at first, then all at once. By noon, the house smelled like roast chicken, coffee, and that lemon cleaner Patricia loved. Like she could scrub the air itself into obedience. Sunlight sliced through the blinds in hard, bright bars, turning dust into glitter and faces into knives. Evelyn sat in her favorite chair wearing a pearl necklace she only wore when she wanted people to behave. Her hands still trembled sometimes, but her eyes were clearer than they'd been all week. Patricia floated through the living room like she was hosting a fundraiser. "I'm just grateful we're all together," she kept saying, too loud, too cheerful, like she could drown out the fact that everyone had been side-eyeing me for days. Nobody said my name, nobody apologized, they just watched me, carefully, like I might steal the silverware next. Milo arrived at 1:30 with a grocery store bakery pie and a look that said he'd slept with one eye open. He brushed past me in the hallway and murmured, "You still have it?" I didn't nod, didn't shake my head. I just said under my breath, "Don't let her get me alone." Milo's jaw tightened. "Not happening?" By 4, the house felt like a courtroom. My uncle's friends, my aunt's church ladies, a cousin I hadn't seen since high school, people who didn't need to be here but who would love to have a story to tell later. And then, at exactly 4:18 p.m., the doorbell rang. 2 crisp chimes. I heard heels before I saw her. Patricia walked in wearing a cream blazer and a smile meant for cameras, because she brought cameras. A man in a fitted suit stepped in behind her carrying a slim briefcase, lawyer energy, even without the tie. And right behind him came a woman with perfect hair and a small handheld mic clipped to her blazer like it belonged there. Not a full news crew, worse, someone who live streams and calls it journalism. Patricia's voice floated through the foyer like honey. "Oh good, you made it," she said, loud enough for half the house to hear. "I just want this handled responsibly, for Grandma." Evelyn's head lifted, her eyes narrowed. Milo appeared at my side like a bodyguard. "Is that media?" he whispered. My stomach sank. Patricia had really done it. She'd brought an audience to my execution. The reporter smiled at Evelyn. "Mrs. Hart, thank you for letting me be here. We're just covering a family matter, community interest." Evelyn's lips pressed together. "This home is not community interest," Evelyn said quietly. Patricia laughed like it was a joke. "Grandma, it's fine. Transparency keeps everyone honest." Transparency. From the woman who hid the envelope in a tea tin. My hands were damp. The note was in my pocket, folded tight like it could cut through fabric. I could feel Grandpa's handwriting against my skin like a pulse. Patricia guided the lawyer and the reporter into the living room like she was seating VIP guests. My family made room immediately. Of course they did. Everyone wants to look innocent when there's a camera. Patricia clapped her hands softly. "Okay, let's keep this calm." The reporter's phone rose, lens pointed toward Evelyn's chair. Evelyn's shoulders squared. Patricia turned her smile on Evelyn. "Grandma, I just need you to confirm one thing on camera for your protection." Evelyn stared at her. "No," Patricia's smile flickered, then recovered. "Grandma, please. People are already talking." Then Patricia's eyes slid to me. "And if we don't settle this, it gets bigger." The lawyer cleared his throat like a bell. "I'm David Monroe," he said, offering his card to my uncle. "Here on behalf of Patricia Hart to ensure no further unlawful withholding of property occurs." Unlawful? My aunt gasped like it sounded official enough to be true. Milo muttered, "This is ridiculous." Patricia lifted her brows. "Then it'll be easy to resolve." She turned slightly so the camera could see her face best. "Rose," she said gently, like she was speaking to a troubled kid, "I'm giving you one last chance to return the envelope and apologize. Right now, in front of everyone. And then we can all go back to being family. Apologize, confess, become small, become the old Rose." My throat tried to close. I felt the room pressing in roast smell, perfume, sunlight, the quiet hum of phones recording from corners. Then Evelyn coughed. A rough, wet sound, all heads snapped to her. I moved on instinct, grabbing a glass of water, kneeling beside her. "You okay?" I whispered. Evelyn's hand found my wrist and squeezed. Her grip was surprisingly strong. "Sunday," she breathed, barely audible. "5." I froze. She knew. She'd known the whole time. Patricia's voice cut in, sharp as a blade. "Grandma is not feeling well. We should keep this short." The reporter leaned forward. "Mrs. Hart, are you okay?" Evelyn lifted her chin. "I'm fine." Patricia laughed, light and fake. "She's fine. She just gets worked up." Worked up like she was inconvenient. Evelyn's fingers tightened on my wrist. Then she whispered something I wasn't ready for. "Under the floor." My blood went cold, like she was handing me a match. Milo's eyes widened when he saw my face. He leaned close. "What?" I didn't answer. Because Patricia was already moving again, stage managing. Rose, she said, voice trembling on purpose for the camera, please, don't make us do this the hard way. Then she nodded to the lawyer. David Monroe opened his briefcase and pulled out a folder like a weapon. I have documentation, he said, indicating this envelope contains material relevant to the estate and the disposition of this property. Disposition. House. Sunday, Patricia's smile sharpened. And, she added, I have a buyer waiting, a serious one. They want to walk through at 4:30. They're here. My pulse slammed. As if summoned by her words, there was a knock at the door, not the doorbell, a knock. Controlled, my skin prickled. Milo exhaled, no way. Patricia called out, sweet as poison, come in. The front door opened. A couple stepped in, well-dressed, polite, too interested. Behind them, a man with a clipboard and measuring tape. A realtor. The house shifted, like it recognized a predator. Evelyn's face drained of color. Patricia turned to the reporter, voice warm. See, we're not being dramatic, this is business. This is my legacy, my aunt whispered. Patricia, maybe. Patricia cut her off with a smile. It's already in motion. The buyers glanced around, smiling at the hardwood floors, the crown molding, the sunlight. One of them looked at Evelyn and said, Hi, Mrs. Hart, beautiful home. Evelyn didn't smile, she looked at me instead. Her eyes said, now. Milo stepped closer to my shoulder. Rose, he whispered, if you're going to swing, swing. My mouth went dry. The note in my pocket felt like it weighed 100 pounds. The reporter's lens stayed locked on the room like it was hunting a breakdown. Patricia turned back to me, voice sweet, deadly. Are you going to hand it over, she asked, or do you want me to tell them what you did? I felt everyone staring, felt the heat of the camera, felt the smell of coffee turning sour in my stomach. Then I remembered Grandpa's note. She already started lying. I took one breath, then another, and I did something Patricia didn't plan for. I stepped into the center of the living room, right where the camera couldn't miss me, and I said, loud enough for the whole home to hear, don't stop recording, get this. The reporter blinked, surprised. Patricia laughed. Why? Afraid of the truth, I shook my head. No, I reached into my hoodie pocket and pulled out the envelope, gasps. Patricia's eyes lit up, hungry, victorious. The lawyer leaned forward. The buyers froze, suddenly too aware they were standing inside a family war. I held the envelope up, then I didn't hand it to Patricia. I turned to Evelyn. Is this yours? I asked. Evelyn's voice was steady now. Yes, Patricia stepped forward. Grandma, don't. Evelyn cut her off with 2 words that silenced the whole room. Sit down. Patricia froze. The reporter's phone trembled slightly as she kept filming. Evelyn didn't look at the camera. She looked at Patricia like she was finally seeing her clearly. You brought strangers into my home, Evelyn said, voice low. You called my granddaughter a thief. You tried to sell my home out from under me. Patricia's face went tight. Grandma, Evelyn lifted a hand. Rose, Evelyn said, eyes on me now, gentle, read it. My hands shook as I slid my finger under the broken wax. I pulled the paper out. The room went so quiet I could hear the buyers breathing. I unfolded the document. The first line hit me like a punch, not because of the legal words, but because of the name at the top. My name, my full name. And underneath it, in Grandpa's handwriting, to the child we promised to protect. Patricia made a sound, sharp, involuntary. And then Patricia lunged, hand out, nails first, right for the paper. Patricia's hand shot out, nails first, and the paper tore just a little. It wasn't a rip that destroyed the page. It was worse. It was a rip that proved she'd do anything. I snapped my fingers shut on the document, yanking it back to my chest. The room erupted, gasps, a chair scraping, the buyers stepping backward like they'd walked into a trap. The live stream phone kept humming, watching, feeding. Patricia's face twisted. For 1 second, the polished host mask fell off completely. "Give it to me," she hissed. Evelyn stood up, slowly, deliberately. The pearls at her throat caught the sunlight like tiny hard truths. "You don't get to rewrite my family," she said again, this time louder so everyone heard it. Patricia's jaw clenched. The lawyer took a reflexive step forward. "Mrs. Hart," he began, "this is an emotionally charged situation." Evelyn cut him off with a look. "Sit down." The lawyer actually hesitated. That hesitation felt like oxygen. Milo moved in close beside me, shoulder to shoulder like a wall. "You good?" he whispered. My hands shook around the torn paper. I looked down at the line again. "To the child we promised to protect." The edges of the room seemed to sharpen. The smell of roast turned sour. Coffee, cold now, Patricia's perfume clean and sharp, felt like a headache. Patricia lifted her phone higher. "Everyone sees this, right?" she said, voice turning fragile for the live stream. "She's ripping estate documents. She's refusing to cooperate. This is theft." My aunt's face crumpled. "Rose," Milo's voice cut in, calm and loud enough to carry. "She just tried to snatch it out of Rose's hands on camera," he said. "We all saw that." Patricia whipped her head toward him. "Milo, stop." Milo shrugged. "Or what? You'll call the police on me too?" Patricia's eyes flashed. And then she did it. She tapped her screen. "I'm calling," she said. The word landed like a gun cocking. "VO, tight, urgent, don't break before Sunday." Evelyn didn't flinch. Instead, she reached down to her side table and picked up a small brass key. The same kind of key you'd never notice until it mattered. She held it out to me. "Rose," she said, voice steady, under the floor, the loose board. "By the fireplace." My breath caught. Patricia lunged again, but Milo stepped between them, arms out. "Don't," Milo warned, not loud, just final. Patricia's lawyer cleared his throat. "Interference will not be looked upon kindly." Milo smiled without humor. "Neither will staging a theft and live streaming an old woman's medical episode." The reporter's eyes widened just a flicker, because now there were two stories. And Patricia wasn't controlling both. Evelyn's hand tightened around mine as she passed the key. Her skin was cool, but her grip was iron. "Go," she whispered. I moved, not running, walking fast, controlled, like I wasn't afraid. Like I hadn't been holding my breath for days. The living room opened up around me as I crossed it. The buyers pressed against the wall. The realtor stared at the mantel like he wished he could disappear into it. Patricia's voice followed me, sharp with panic now. "Don't you dare, that's private property." Private, as if she hadn't invited strangers into it. I knelt by the fireplace. The stone smelled faintly of soot and old winter. My fingers found the loose floorboard immediately, the one that creaked differently, the one Evelyn always positioned her rug to hide. I slid my nails under the edge. It lifted with a soft groan. The whole room leaned in. Even the live stream seemed to hush. Inside was a narrow space, dark, dusty, smelling like aged paper and cedar. And there it was, a small metal cash box. Not shiny, not new, old, scuffed, real. My hands trembled as I pulled it out. Patricia's breath came fast behind me. I didn't have to look to know she was approaching. Milo's voice, firm, stopped her. "Stay right there." The lawyer raised his hands like he was calming animals. "Let's proceed carefully." Proceed. Like they were entitled to the ending. I set the box on the rug and slid the brass key into the lock. It turned with a stiff click. The sound hit my chest like a drum. I opened it. Inside were three things: a stack of documents tied with twine, a faded photograph in a plastic sleeve, and a letter cream-colored sealed with wax. Unbroken, my stomach flipped. Patricia whispered, "No." Evelyn sat back down slowly like she'd spent her last ounce of strength getting us here. My fingers found the letter first. I didn't need to open it to know. This was what the envelope was meant to distract from. Patricia's missing envelope had been bait. This box was the hook. I looked at Evelyn. "Do you want me to read it?" Evelyn's eyes shone. "Yes." Patricia snapped. "That letter is not." Evelyn's voice cut clean through. "It is." Silence hit the room, not awkward silence, heavy silence. The kind that makes every breath feel like it matters. I broke the wax seal. The smell of old paper rose up, dry and faintly sweet like books that have been waiting. My hands steadied as I unfolded the letter, and I read. "To Rose," my voice caught on my own name. I swallowed. "If you're hearing this, it means Patricia tried to turn you into the villain. That was always her move." Patricia's face drained of color. My aunt gasped softly. The lawyer stiffened. I kept reading. "Your mother brought you here when you were a baby, not for money, for safety. We promised her we would protect you because the truth about who you are would make greedy people dangerous." My knees went weak. I gripped the edge of the box. Evelyn's voice was a whisper now. "I'm sorry." The room spun. I looked down at the faded photograph. Hands shaking, I slid it out of the sleeve. It was the porch again. Evelyn younger, a man beside her grandpa. And in grandpa's arms, a baby. Me. But this time the photo had something the burned one didn't. Another person. A young woman standing just off to the side, half smiling through tears. My mom. And behind them on the porch rail, taped like a marker, Sunday 5 p.m. My mouth went dry. Milo breathed, "Oh my God." Patricia found her voice again, sharp and desperate. "This is manipulated," she snapped. This is a stunt. She's been planning this." Evelyn lifted her chin. "No," Evelyn said, "you've been planning." Patricia whirled toward her. "Grandma, I did everything for you." Evelyn's laugh was small, sad. "You did everything for yourself." The lawyer stepped forward, recovering. "Mrs. Hart, regardless of emotion, there are legal—" Evelyn raised one hand. He stopped again. That power wasn't loud, it was absolute. Evelyn looked at me. "Rose," she said gently, "you didn't choose this home because you wanted something from us." Her eyes glistened. "You chose it because it was the only place you ever felt claimed." The word hit my chest. Claimed, not accused, not suspected. Not tolerated, claimed. Patricia's phone was still up, but her hand shook now because the live stream had turned. People weren't watching me anymore, they were watching her. Milo stepped to the side and spoke clearly, like he was addressing the camera on purpose. "Just so everyone's clear," he said, "we have video of Patricia trying to snatch that paper. And we have this letter. And we have her bringing a live stream reporter into an elderly woman's home to bully her." Patricia's eyes widened. "You can't." Milo held up his own phone. "Already sent copies while you were bringing buyers into this house." The lawyer's face tightened. He leaned toward Patricia, whispering urgently. Patricia's confidence collapsed in little pieces. "This is harassment," my uncle muttered, finally angry. "You brought strangers here." The realtor cleared his throat, backing toward the door. We're going to reschedule." The buyers nodded stiffly, eyes down. "We're sorry, we didn't know." They left fast, like the house was burning. The reporter hesitated, still filming, then her eyes flicked to the lawyer's stiff posture and Patricia's shaking hands. She lowered the phone half an inch. Patricia saw it and panicked. "If you stop filming, you're done," Patricia snapped. The reporter blinked. "Patricia, this is not what you said it was." And just like that, Patricia lost her audience, which meant she lost her weapon. Patricia's voice went shrill. "I'm calling the police right now." She stabbed at her screen again. Milo didn't stop her. He just nodded toward the living room doorway. "Go ahead," he said. "They're already on the way. They've been outside longer than you realize." Patricia froze. "What?" My aunt's hand shook as she pointed toward the front window. Red and blue lights flickered through the blinds, not dramatic, not fast. Just inevitable. Patricia's mouth opened, closed, the lawyer's eyes narrowed at Milo. "Who called?" Milo shrugged. "I did, earlier, quietly, before you ever walked in with cameras." Patricia backed up a step, bumping into the side table. Evelyn's teacup rattled. Evelyn didn't move. She looked at Patricia like she was finally done grieving the person Patricia pretended to be. "Patricia," Evelyn said quietly, "leave." Patricia looked at her lawyer. He didn't move. Patricia's eyes flashed with fury and fear. "You can't kick me out," she hissed. "I'm family." Evelyn's voice didn't rise. "That's the one thing you never understood," she said. "Family isn't who gets the keys. It's who keeps the promises." The police knocked. Calm, professional, Patricia flinched like she'd been slapped. The live stream caught it all. Milo opened the door, calm, polite, like he'd been waiting. Two officers stepped in, scanning the room. "What seems to be the issue?" one asked. Patricia jumped in instantly. "Yes, thank God she stole." Evelyn raised a hand. The officer paused, surprised by the authority of a trembling old woman with pearls. Evelyn pointed at the box on the floor. "My granddaughter was accused," Evelyn said, "in my home, on camera, by someone trying to sell my property without my consent." Patricia's lawyer began. "Officer, The second officer glanced at the live stream phone, the reporter, the torn paper in my hand. His eyes sharpened. "This is being recorded?" he asked. The reporter swallowed. "Yes." Patricia's face went pale because the police weren't walking into her story. They were walking into the truth. Evelyn turned her gaze to me, soft now. "I'm sorry I let you carry it alone," she whispered. "I thought silence would protect you, but it only protected her." My eyes burned. For days I'd held my breath. For days I'd swallowed words. For days I'd tried not to break. And now, in front of everyone, I finally exhaled. I folded Grandpa's letter carefully and pressed it to my chest like it was a heartbeat. The house smelled like paper and lavender and rain coming through the cracked door. Milo leaned toward me, voice low, almost gentle. "You made it." I looked at Evelyn, then at the torn document, then at Patricia standing smaller than she'd ever been, her phone useless in her hand. And I said the phrase that had kept me alive all week, not as a warning, as a promise kept. We made it to Sunday. And for the first time in my life, the truth didn't whisper, it spoke.